Welcome to Book Lounge by Libby. I'm Joe, and I am so happy you're here. This is the place where book lovers, authors, and industry insiders come together to talk about the stories we love and the impact they have. Before we dive in, don't forget to follow the show on your favorite podcast app and subscribe to the Libby app YouTube channel so you never miss an episode. If you love what we're doing, leave a review or drop a comment. It helps more book lovers find us. You can stay updated with the show on Instagram at libby.app, and you can reach out to me via email, bookloungebyLibby@overdrive.com. Okay, I've got the podcastery things out of the way. Today is our first bonus episode of Book Lounge. It is that magical time of the month where a guest and I look at all of the amazing books coming out and share what we're adding to our TBR. Joining me today to talk about July books is a voice and face you may recognize. The incredible Emma is here. Emma, how are you?
Hi, Joe. Happy to be here. Doing well. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks. It's so good to see you and record with you.
It's so good to be back behind the mic with you. I know that it may seem like a very long time for listeners, but obviously I still see you all the time at work.
That is true.
So
We do talk daily.
yeah. So while this has certainly been a while, I
Yes,
feel like the rest of it is just business as usual.
definitely business as usual. While this is the first time we're back on the mic uh, together in
Yeah,
months, I guess it could be 8 years, it could be 10 days. I'd believe either if you told me.
I know. Same.
What do you think of the logo? What do you think of the backdrop?
I love the logo and the backdrop. It's
Well,
very
fun.
I feel like a 9-year-old. It's very jazzy. Is what came to mind.
I feel very moody in here,
Yeah,
and
I was gonna say, I feel like I'm too bright
no, I love
in
it.
contrast.
I am jealous. I have recorded with so many people who have gorgeous books as backdrops,
Mm,
and you know my library. I would love to record in there, but the amount of natural light and sound, and then I would
yeah,
just be in the middle of a room in my house really really doesn't
exactly.
make it possible.
But that's okay. No, I love the logo. It looks awesome.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for indulging me on that.
Of course.
Do you wanna shout out, it will be in your lower third, at some point in the video, but you do have a book Instagram that I wanted to make sure I shouted out. It will be linked in the show notes, but it is at Emma Reads It All. If you want to keep up with Emma's bookish journey over there, we welcome you to.
Thanks. It's pretty hoppin'. It's not, I'm just kidding. But I do post what I'm reading there and do some reading wrap ups just because it's fun.
I mean, you have to have an outlet, but also, you're a mom
I
and the
yeah,
world is a busy place, like,
I
you don't wanna, like, drive yourself crazy trying to make content when you're just doing it for the joy of
for
it.
fun.
Right, that's, like, the best
Yeah.
part is yours is purely for the joy. Yours is purely to be like, "Oh, well, this is what I if you wanna know what I'm reading, this is what I'm reading. If you wanna know what I read the last few months, here it is."
Yeah, exactly. No, that was I think the biggest shift was just like the right change in reading for just the joy of it. So it did take some getting used to, but it's been really nice.
Purely for pleasure, no
Yeah,
deadlines, no interview questions to write. Ugh,
exactly.
what has been your favorite thing that you've read in the last, I don't know, I guess since
Yeah,
October?
since the fall. Well, I admittedly, since the last time I was on the podcast, have had a journey with audiobooks, which will not be news to you, but may be news to listeners because I've
Thank
always
you.
sort of
How did you know
gone
exactly where I was trying to lead you?
yeah. No, I've gone back and forth, like, over the years with enjoying audio, but having a harder time, like, getting into it and incorporating it into everyday life because often I get easily distracted, but I have really found my stride with audio. I've been listening to an audiobook a week, Joe, like, almost.
I love it. It makes me so happy to hear. I'm so proud.
So, that's
I
been
mean,
really
and
nice.
yes, listeners, I already knew this, but
Yeah, but it's been really nice to have the option to be able to listen to audio and sort of feel like I'm continuing my reading while doing other things because
Um,
obviously I don't have infinite time to just sit down with a book. And it's been great. And I think my favorite audiobook, this is going to be absolutely wild to say to you, from recent reading is either going to be Lights Out by Nevessa Allen,
mhm.
the audiobook. Don't knock it until you try it.
I
Uh,
won't
it
knock it.
it
I
may
will
not
try it, but I won't knock it.
it may not be your taste. I will say that a colleague of ours is the one that told me to listen to the audiobook, and I read the description and I was like, "Girl,
I
this
think I
doesn't."
remember the first time I brought up Lights Out to you, and you were like,
I was like,
"Joe,
"No."
there's no way."
No. And, I would say the audiobook production was so great that for me, even though there were elements of the story that were not to my taste or were a little bit outside of my comfort zone of what I normally read, it was so well done that it has remained one of my favorites of recent memory.
And what finally made that switch happen in your brain? Like, was it, like, putting in the headphones while cleaning? What did it? Because this is such a shift for you. You have always made time to sit down and read. Even when it's hard to come by, you will make time in your schedule for reading.
Yeah. So I think 2 things happened simultaneously. One, I was in the biggest reading rut of my life. Uh,
It was an intense
it
like,
it
y'all,
was
we've been together for a few of Emma's reading ruts, and this was
the
like none of
worst.
them before.
It was the worst reading rut ever, where I just didn't want to read. And it wasn't even that I couldn't find things I wanted to read, that's really never been the problem. Um, we have a wealth of things to read at all times in Libby and so on, but I just didn't wanna read, and so the thing that I think shifted it was, 1, finding an audiobook that was just low stakes, and then 2, I will say the other thing that has helped my audiobook journey has been practicing. That sounds ridiculous,
Oh,
but, like,
sure.
just continuing to
Like,
listen to
build the
audio
habit.
and build the
Yeah.
habit, and so the more audiobooks I listen to, the easier I find it is to listen to audio and retain, reading comprehension and not be as easily distracted while doing other things, and I think
Yeah.
that that was certainly missing before. It just kind of takes practice, is what I found.
That makes so much sense, though. I think of all the times you have flirted with audiobooks in the
Yeah.
past when I've been like, "Please, you've gotta try this on audio."
Mhm.
It's always a book that you've been anticipating or even just, like,
Yes.
vaguely looking forward to. It's
Yeah.
either an auto by author, even if you're not super thrilled about the book, like, that would have been your reason to try the audio, but it was like,
Yeah.
there were still stakes to you, and I think that sets up the layer of, like, well, I know how I'd be reading this in my brain, or I know how
Mhm.
I would be doing this, and you were often, like, comparing the 2, even if it
Yeah.
was a narrator you loved or were dying over, like, it didn't really help you in that journey, so low stakes makes a lot of sense, and then right, like, that practice and that repetition, I mean, I
Yeah.
feel like you also probably hold the ability to find your place in a physical or ebook version if you wanted to flip back and forth. I know some people do that,
Yeah.
I can't, but I am audiobook heavy, so
Yeah, and I think, like, something else is, like, right, I said low stakes, so I
yeah.
started by listening to things I'd already listened to or books I'd already read to
Mhm.
sort of, like, get familiar and figure out, like, the listening speed, and
Yeah,
I'm still only comfortable at 1.25, y'all.
that's
We're
okay.
working our way up, but
Hey, it took me a lot of years before I even went to 1.25. Like,
yeah, so that's the thing, like, right, like, the getting used to it, but I
it's a
think.
big difference.
And then finding books that, right, were really compelling on audio. John
Mhm.
Green's new book, Everything is Tuberculosis, was fantastic on
Incredible.
audio. The Thrashers by Julie Soto, I listened to that on audio. That was incredible. So, like, finding books that I also really enjoyed just
Yes.
made all the difference. And, like, final shout out before we actually talk about July, Margot's Got Money Troubles by Rufi Thorpe.
Oh, yeah.
This is a book I put off reading. I think I talked about it last year when it came out, and I honestly didn't get around to reading it, and I listened to the audiobook, which is narrated by Elle Fanning. It was 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10.
Love that.
So, yeah, and that's the thing is I think finding the right books for me on audio as well has been huge, so
Well,
tips and
I
tricks.
I love that. I have a book surprise for you. I have been holding this from you, but we only made this decision on Saturday. So I was holding until today because I needed to see your face when I said this.
Oh gosh.
I'm going to do a July book read with my friend Sam, who just started reading this year. I know we've talked about that she
Yeah.
said, I'm going to do it. Well, she's big into romance, especially your vein of romance. I have committed to a series read starting in July of Boys of Tommen.
Wait. Okay. I'm shooketh.
Because it's
Wait.
uh-huh, it's like it was immediately her favorite, and now this is a person who, like, has instant access to any of the books that I'm
Yeah.
like, "Oh, here, help yourself," and she would for years, she was always like, "Okay, you guys have fun looking through the books," and now she's, like, roughing through them and yeah, yeah. She needs to be able to talk about what's the new one, 10? Uh,
Yes.
she
Releasing 10?
releasing 10, she's like, "I
Yeah.
need to talk about this book with someone," and none of my other friends who read have read these.
I'm
Uh-huh.
pointing to them here, although I'm missing 2. I'm missing 2
So,
because I don't have the ombre spine, and
yes,
that's a whole th
bothers you.
that's a whole thing that bothers me, so I'm hunting down the ombre spine of keeping 10. If anyone wants to give it to me for not $1,000,000,000, please do.
Good, I'm glad I saved this. So, speaking of July, I will be starting the Boys of Tommen
Oh my
series
gosh, I
as
want live
as a bit of a book
updates.
club. Oh, you will get them because huh.
Moment by moment reactions. I better have 50 messages.
I was truly like, "I don't know how I will do this, but I have to do it. I have
Uh,
to I have to just try it because I know you love them
yeah.
and I know she loves them, and for her to say, "Please read
I'm
these."
really interested in your thoughts because
Mhm.
yeah, it is
It's like and
absolutely
you know my reading taste, and
not your
you're
wheelhouse.
already sitting over there like, "This is dark, this
It's a
is
lot.
heavy, this is" yeah.
It's a lot. If you send a photo of just you crying, then
Uh-huh.
we'll know
You'll
it
know.
got to you.
You'll probably be like, "Are you at this part or this
Are
part?"
you okay? Checking in. What page are
Uh-huh.
you on?
Yep. So, stay tuned for
Oh my
updates, Emma.
gosh. Okay. Okay.
So,
It's
good
gonna be a
surprise?
great July. It's gonna be a great July, and
It's
this is one of the reasons why I said, "Heck yeah, I'll talk to you about July books," because some of my most anticipated of the year are coming out in July, so
then why don't you dive into it? You give me your first book. I'll let you kick things off.
thank you. My
Yeah, of
first
course.
book, is a little bit of a standout from the rest of the type of books you'll see that I'm talking about. You know I have a type. But the first book is Mean Moms by Emma Rosenblum. This comes out July 29th from our friends at Macmillan. This follows Frost, Morgan, and Belle. They are queen bee moms at Atherton Academy Prep School in New York City. You know, they're elite New York moms. Their kids are at the swankiest of prep schools. And then they have a new mom in the group, Sophia, who moves to town from Miami. She shakes up the group a little bit, but also effortlessly joins. And everything seems like a perfect match until bad things start happening to the moms. Is somebody after them? Is someone sabotaging things? So the story follows this group of moms over the course of one school year, and it is part satire and part mystery. This is Emma Rosenblum's third book. She also wrote Bad Summer People and Very Bad Company. Readers will really enjoy the humor and the insight into the lives of the ultra wealthy in New York City. And while Rosenblum has stated many times that these characters are not based on her friends or the moms at her children's school, She said she has encountered people like this in New York social circles and sort of took inspiration from the things that these people say when they think nobody is listening. And so it's part sort of Mean Girls, part prep school, part satire. Mean Moms by Emma Rosenblum is one of my top picks for July.
That sounds so good immediately. Like, what a vibe. I love that. That social satire while also just being wildly out there to, I don't know, knock home the how crazy is this that we do this? So before I get into my first pick, I also wanted to shout out friend of the pod, Amy Allen Clark at Mom Advice. You know her well. She's been on, and you will see her plenty in season one as we continue on. But she recently sent me a copy of her 2025 summer reading guide, and it is incredible. She screened almost 100 books this year, and this list of 56 are her favorites. I know, can you imagine? She screened 98 books so you don't have to. If you want to check out and support Amy, you can use the link in the show notes to check out the blog talking more about it and how you can get your hands on it. But so if you want a whole summer reading list vetted by the book gang itself, that is your place to go check it out. So Amy, thank you for sending that to me. Just a quick shout out there. And the list is so good. Definitely worth giving it a review. But my first pick is, I don't think, a surprise. It's a beautiful follow-up from our friends over at Tor. This is The Enchanted Greenhouse by Sarah Beth Durst, coming out July 15th. New York Times bestselling author Sarah Beth Durst invites you to her new standalone novel set in the world of The Spell Shop. Follow her to The Enchanted Greenhouse, a cozy fantasy nestled on a faraway island brimming with singing flowers, honey cakes, and honey-eyed love. I am getting so very much into cozy fantasy. Like there's this whole I what not like there's this whole thing that's just happening. I'm just finally learning about it. Like with the expansion of romantasy, there's a big push into cozy fantasy, cozy romantasy. And I think this is finally my angle in. Uh, as you all know, I struggle a little bit with fantasy. It tends to be a lot, but the cozy element really helps lower the stakes, lower the world building. But this follows Turlu Purna, who broke the law because she was lonely. She cast a spell and created a magically sentient spider plant. As punishment, she was turned into a wooden statue and tucked away into an alcove in the North Reading Room of the Great Library of Elysium. This should have been the end of her story, yet one day, Turlu wakes in the cold of winter on a nearly deserted island full of hundreds of magical greenhouses. She's starving and freezing, and the only other human on the island is a grumpy gardener. To her surprise, he offers Turlu a place to sleep, clean clothes, and freshly baked honey cakes, at least until she's ready to sail home. But Turlu can't return home and doesn't want to. The greenhouses are a dream come true, each more wondrous than the next. When she learns that the magic that sustains them is failing, causing the death of everything within them, Turlu knows she must help, even if that means breaking the law again. This time, though, she isn't alone. Assisted by the gardener and a sentient rose, Turlu must unravel the secrets of a long dead sorcerer if she wants to save the island and have a fresh chance at happiness and love. Funny, kind, and forgiving, The Enchanted Greenhouse is a story about giving a second chance to others and to yourself. So that is The Enchanted Greenhouse by Sarah Beth Durst, out July 15th.
That sounds so fantastic.
Right? I mean, Spell Shop was just so beautiful that I was immediately ready to snap up the next thing she gives us, but I love a standalone. I love also already being in a world that I know, but don't have to rely on, like, the power of a sequel. It's just in the world of.
Yeah, exactly. But that is a perfect fantasy segue into what is going to be a fantasy summer. So, my next pick is Rose and Chains by Julie Soto. This is out on July 8th from Forever at Hachette. I really don't feel like this needs a ton of explanation on why this is one of the picks. Julie Soto. This is her published romantic fantasy debut. It is enemies to lovers. So, Bryony Rosewood must grapple with the aftermath of a failed war. The dark forces have won when good should have prevailed. But as a result, Bryony is stripped of her magic and her freedom. She's put up for auction to the highest bidder. And since Bryony is Evermore's princess, she gets a high price from Tovin Hurst. I always pick fantasy and then struggle to say the names, so I need to
I
remember that every time.
right, I did the same thing. I was like, "Oh, no, I'm pulling an Emma right now. How am I supposed to do this?"
Yeah, my next one's gonna be worse, so bear with me. But Tovin, who bids on Bryony, he's a scion from a family that's known for being extremely cruel. So, despite these perilous circumstances that Bryony finds herself in, hope and help aren't all abandoned, and she may find those in the most unlikely of places. So, like I said, this is enemies to lovers. This story did start as fan fiction, or it was at one point a fan fiction. Julie Soto has said many times that she did get her start writing many places, including, theater and screenwriting, but also dabbled on AO3. And I'm just excited to have her fantasy debut published later this summer. Again, that is Rose in Chains by Julie Soto, and that is out July 8th.
Julie Soto is one of your auto buys, right?
Yes, she is.
Are you excited for her to be diving into fantasy romance,
I am so
or you just wanna
excited.
see what
I I
happens?
honestly, she could write anything at this point because every single thing she writes is fantastic, and as evidenced by the Thrashers earlier this year, her YA published debut, that was a 10 out of 10, in terms of, like, YA thriller, the just the characters, the writing, the story, the vibes. So, literally, she could write in any genre, and I would read it. I know that she started in romance, but again, like, to me, her talent has no bounds, so she can write whatever she wants, and I will buy it.
Yes, there is room for her in every genre because her writing is just incredible.
I'm like, she is on I don't know if we can see it. She is on my favorites bookshelf, which
Oh,
is
there we
this one
go.
here, so
And it's the whole bookcase.
the whole bookcase is my favorite.
It's like there's a row of Emily Henrys down there,
Yeah, there's Rachel Harrison, we've
yep,
got Abby Jimenez, we've got Elsie Silver, so
of
yeah,
course,
Julie Soto is on the favorites shelf.
as she should be. Well, speaking of thriller, I'm gonna pivot in that direction from Michelle Brandon and HarperCollins Avon. This is Rush Week, out at the end of the month, July 22nd. It's an irresistible, juicy contemporary novel based on the TikTok phenomenon hashtag Bama Rush Talk, which I was absolutely enthralled in last year. So wild. My favorite part was the people who would do the, like, calculator videos after the girls would, like, do their outfits, and they'd be like, "Okay, well, that outfit was $20,000." Anyway, about 4 sorority sisters brought back to the top-tier house they ruled at the University of Alabama when secrets they thought long buried threatened to resurface. So this is immediately giving me, like, I know what you did last summer vibes, that kind of energy, which, I'm so in for. 4 sorority sisters, each with dark secrets. They must stop the unexpected opening of a time capsule created as a part of a sorority rush ritual that was supposed to hold their deepest secrets buried forever. 5 years after they thought they'd said goodbye, a group of sisters find themselves back at the University of Alabama for Rush Week. Some return to rekindle their friendships, and others to keep long silent secrets from being exhumed. Unbeknownst to them at the time, the infamous spill book they wrote confessions in as a trust exercise over the years was placed into a time capsule. Now it's been stolen, and the anonymous thief is threatening to expose them all on bid day. Rush Week is a juicy, wild, drama packed novel filled with good and not so good girls behaving badly, dark humor, and sexy scandals. As the sisters navigate their present and not so distant past, unbreakable bonds of friendship are put to the test, and regrettable mistakes threaten to change everything if exposed. But perhaps if they confess their sins to each other, they can begin to mend not only themselves, but their sisterhood before the world finds out just how wicked they are. So that is Rush Week by Michelle Brandon, out July 22nd.
I love that. That sounds great, and I
Right?
I should
It's
not
like
be
Pretty Little
surprised
Liars,
that
it's
you've picked, like, Gamma Rush Talk, but I am also like, "Oh my goodness, it made it to your FYP as well."
can you believe that it made it to my FYP and I gobbled it up. So this, it's Pretty Little Liars, it's I Know What You Did Last Summer, like, I'm into it,
It is all the things you do like for a summer book.
especially for a summer book.
I think the next book that I have on here will not surprise anyone either. It sort of follows in the same vein as Rose and Chains, and it is also out on July 8th. It's The Irresistible Urge to Fall for Your Enemy by Brigitte Knightley. This is from Penguin, and this is a slow burn, enemies to lovers, romantic fantasy. This follows Osric. Again, we're going to be generous with the name pronunciation here. But Osric is a member of an order of professional assassins. When he becomes injured and ill, he's forced to do whatever it takes to find a cure, including working with an enemy healer, Orien. I think that that's a horrible pronunciation. We're going to get that out of the way. So apologies to however we're supposed to say this name. But Orien is a healer in the Halen Order, and at the moment, her order is absolutely inundated with an outbreak of a pox that's targeting children rapidly. Without money for research and supplies to launch an immunization program, the Halen Order is grasping at straws. So when Osric breaks in to Orien's office to convince her to heal him, and he has the funds, the millions that they need to do this research, she's sort of forced to oblige and go with it. And so, as they work together to heal Ostric's illness and figure out why the pox is back and affecting so many children, they might have to deny any feelings that grow. So, I am actually reading this book right now, and I'm so delighted by how funny it is. I admit I had no idea what to expect particularly, but the humor and the wit in the writing, it has been fantastic so far. So, it's very slow burn so far, which I don't mind. Hopefully not too slow. But, yeah, this has been a really interesting story so far, a really unique magical system, which I love. I do find that it's often hard to come up with brand new fantasy elements. We know that all of the stories are like the same kind of touch points over and over again, but this has a truly unique tone and again, magical system. So I'm excited to finish this book. You know, when you just want to read something instead of do anything else, that's where
Yes,
we're at with this. So the Irresistible Urge to Fall for Your Enemy by Brigitte Knightley is out July 8th.
and what a good sell. I don't wanna do anything else, I just wanna read this right now.
Yeah, I just keep thinking about like, could I be working or could I be reading this book? Unfortunately, I will have to pick it up after work later today, but so far,
But
highly recommend.
but you can always pick it back up then, right?
Exactly.
Well, my next pick got me by the cover, which I know is not surprising for me, but this one is so fun. This is The Art of Vanishing by Morgan Pager, out July 1st from Penguin Random House. It's a stunningly original love story between a museum employee and a man in the masterpiece hanging on the walls. A breathtaking debut about time, art, and the enduring power of love. There's even a quote from Jodi Picoult about this book. So, we're in for something good here. Something magical is happening inside this museum. Jean's life is the same day in and day out, frozen in time by his painter father, the legendary Henri Matisse. Then that means it's Jean. Jean observes the ebb and flow of museum guests as they take in the works of his father and other masters like Renoir, Picasso, and Modigliani. But his world takes a mesmerizing turn when Claire, a new museum employee, enters his life. Night after night, Claire moves through the gallery where Jean's painting hangs, mopping the floors, talking softly to herself to stem her loneliness, and gazing admiringly at the masterpieces above. The alluring man in the corner of the Matisse, is he watching her? Why does she feel a deepening pull to him, like he can see her truest self, her most profound secrets? Did he just move? In an extraordinary twist of fate, Claire discovers she can step through the frame of Jean's painting and into a bygone era, a lush, verdant snapshot of family life in France in the throes of the First World War. She and Jean begin a seemingly impossible affair, falling in love against the backdrop of the gallery's other paintings come to life. Glittering parties, exhilarating horse races, and windswept beach bluffs, which they can move through together, and where Claire is seemingly the only outside visitor alone in possession of this gift. But as their happiness is threatened by challenges both inside and outside the museum, Claire and Jean find themselves in a fight to preserve the love they've hardly dared to dream of. Will their extraordinary connection defy the confines of reality, or will the forces conspiring against them shatter their carefully curated happiness? You can find out the answers to that in The Art of Vanishing by Morgan Pager not too long from now on July 1st. I know that's not a usual one for me, but the cover got me, and then I read that description and I was immediately like, "Oh, okay. This is it." I love museums. I love that kind of magical realism of what if you could just pop into a painting. And I don't know, this sounds really beautiful. This sounds like a perfect summer read to me or for me. So I will definitely be checking this out. And I'm also just laughing at the fact that I had no problem pronouncing French artists, but basic English words I struggled with. So there we go.
To be fair, it is very early in the morning to have to be reading and pronouncing things.
I mean, even going from Jean to Jean, whoops.
Exactly.
We
So,
we make these lists so long ago,
yeah,
and you don't always especially since these are books we, for the most part, haven't read yet.
exactly. No, and I think we put together our list, like, pretty quickly after we set this up, which was, like,
I think we
3
booked
months
this
ago?
yeah, I was gonna say, I think we booked this in April or May. You were
Yeah,
like, "Hey, I wanna do this one, and here's my vacation." And I went, "Perfect, we can do this
book it.
today."
Yeah,
And we booked it, and then, like, I think the next day we had both filled out our list, so it's
yeah,
been 3 months since I've read that.
exactly. So we're doing our best here. Speaking of, doing our best with this next one, I am gonna try to keep it spoiler light. It is a sequel, and that is Wrath of the Dragons by Olivia Rose Darling. This is out July 29th from Random House. This is the sequel to Fear the Flames, if you remember that gorgeous book from last fall. So if you haven't read that and you want to, light spoilers ahead. It's hard to talk about a sequel without revealing some of the events from that first book. So, if you have that on your list, skip ahead a little bit to keep it spoiler light. But Caden, who is the renowned demon commander of the Varaveth, and Elowin, heir to the Ibarath throne, must navigate romance, political alliances, and angst, all while trying to win a war between kingdoms. So these two have real feelings for each other, layered on top of a marriage of convenience and political intrigue. They are fated, but of course, it's always hard to be honest with how you're feeling, what is real and what is political alliance. There are dragons, as we saw in the first book. There is royalty, a court intrigue. There are bigger and better battles in this book than in the first one, and their love is one for the ages. So, can they navigate all of these different elements? We will find out in Wrath of the Dragons by Olivia Rose Darling, out July 29th. So, again, light on the details, but just in case you want to go in to read this full series, keep you intrigued without hopefully ruining too much.
It's an eagerly anticipated one, so thank you for keeping us light on the spoilers, and, shameless plug, in a few weeks, you can hear Olivia Rose Darling, Katie Robert, and Jennifer L. Armentrout talk about the rise of romantasy in episode 9, so, I swear that was not planned.
It's almost like I know.
Almost.
Almost,
Hmm,
but
hmm.
can't wait for that one, personally.
Correct. It will be a good time. They are all incredible. Oh my gosh. Well, My next pick, again, the cover got me. This is Myra by Nikki Gonzalez, out July 22nd from Penguin Random House. An eerie, hypnotic debut about friendship, desire, and memory set against the sultry backdrop of Florida's swamplands. It's been years since Ingrid has heard from her childhood best friend, Myra, a fearless rebel who fled their hometown of Hialeah, a Cuban neighborhood just west of Miami, for college in the Northeast. But when Myra calls out of the blue to invite Ingrid into a weekend getaway at a house in the Everglades, she impulsively accepts. From the moment Ingrid sets out, danger looms. The directions are difficult. She's out of reach of cell service. And as she drives deeper into the Everglades, the wet maw of the swamp threatens to swallow her whole. But once Ingrid arrives, Maya is, in many ways, just as she remembers, with her sharp tongue and effortless seductive beauty, still thumbing her nose at the world. Before they can fully settle into the familiar intimacy of each other's company, their reunion is spoiled by the reemergence of past disagreements and the unexpected presence of Myra's new boyfriend, Benji. The trio spend their hours eating lavish meals and exploring the labyrinthine house, which holds as much mystery as the swamp itself. Indoors and on the grounds, time itself seems to expand, and Ingrid begins to lose a sense of the outside world and herself. Against this disquieting setting where lizards dart in and out of porches and alligators peek from dark waters, Gonzalez weaves a surreal, unforgettable story about the dizzying power of early friendship and the lengths we'll go to earn love and acceptance, even at the risk of losing ourselves entirely. So that is Myra by Nikki Gonzalez, July 22nd.
For lack of a better word, dang, that sounds good.
Right? Like, okay, it feels like a great pick for both of us. And I was like, Emma,
Yeah.
I have another surprise for you this book.
Yeah. Well, what's nice is I saw these pics from you, as I said, months ago, and so now they're like a brand new surprise to me because it's been so long. I'm like, "Oh,
Right.
yeah."
It gives, like, I don't know, from that description, I'm getting a little bit of The Return by our fave Rachel Harrison.
Yeah.
But I know there's gonna be an entirely different energy to it, and so I'm just imagining, I don't know, like a better version of The Challengers without all the tennis kind of thing. So, we'll see.
Minus the tennis.
Minus the tennis.
Oh, yeah, so my next pick is continuing right on along in fantasy summer, y'all. I promise there is a break. I just sort of did all of my picks by genre in a row. Sorry, not sorry, but it's Forbidden Alchemy by Stacey McEwen. This is out July 1st from Simon& and Schuster's Saga. And we've got Nina and Patrick. I do kind of love that they have normal names in this fantasy world, but they meet as 12-year-olds when they're taken to Bellavere City to discover the potential of their magic. So the kids that pass Bellavere's magical tests will become artisans, capital A artisans. They're those that are able to wield elemental magic in the most powerful way. They are sort of the city's chosen ones. And so, of that, Nina has dreamed of being an artisan forever. It would be an escape from the harsh realities of her life. But Patrick has zero desire to be part of this like swanky city elite. He wants to return home to his hometown and work as a craftsman. Craftsmen are typically physically very strong and they keep the idiom mines that run all of the city's power going. And so while they're both in Bellavere, they learn something really startling. Artisans aren't born, they are selected. And they promise to keep this secret and end up departing for totally different lives. Many years later, after a revolution among the craftsmen occur, it puts Patrick and Nina, who is now an artisan, on opposing sides. Nina is captured by Patrick's rebel group, and despite being on different sides of this revolution and the many years apart from when they last met, they do remember each other and have a natural affinity. Their tenuous alliance that is formed in all of this to help each other is threatened by war, their own feelings, and Nina's first love, who reappears and makes an ask that she betray Patrick in a choice that would change the fate of everything. Dun dun dun. So that is A Forbidden Alchemy by Stacey McEwen, again out July 1st.
That sounds really good. I love the stakes in that. I love that kind of magic system setup. It sounds really original, and I love that the twist is there for us at the beginning of, like, we know what the rebellion is going to be because, "Uh-oh, you all have this within you." Like,
Yeah, and
oh,
then, like, what's gonna happen? I think I know, but we'll have
right.
fun finding out.
Worth the ride. So I get to be predictable again. Sylvia Moreno Garcia has a new book coming out, and it's on my list. Like, sorry, not sorry. One of the best writers of our time that wrote a new book. I'm gonna read it. This is The Bewitching by Sylvia Moreno Garcia, out July 15th. Love that we don't have to wait too long. This is from Del Rey at Penguin Random House. Three women in three different eras encounter danger and witchcraft in this eerie multi generational horror saga from New York Times bestselling author of Mexican Gothic. I'm sorry, did you hear all of those words that just describe what Joe reads? I did. So, you know, oops. Back then, when I was a young woman, there were still witches. That was how Nana Alba always began the stories she told her great granddaughter Minerva, stories that have stayed with Minerva all her life. Perhaps that's why Minerva has become a graduate student focused on the history of horror literature and is researching the life of Beatrice Tremblay, an obscure author of macabre tales. In the course of assembling her thesis, Minerva uncovers information that reveals that Tremblay's most famous novel, The Vanishing, was inspired by a true story. Decades earlier, during the Great Depression, Tremblay attended the same university where Minerva is now, studying and became obsessed with her beautiful and otherworldly roommate, who then disappeared under mysterious circumstances. As Minerva descends even deeper into Tremblay's manuscript, she begins to sense that the malign force that stalked Tremblay and the missing girl might still walk the halls of the campus. These disturbing events also echo the stories Nana Alba told her about girlhood in 1900s Mexico, where she had a terrifying encounter with a witch. Minerva suspects that the same shadow that darkened the lives of her great grandmother and Beatrice Tremblay is now threatening her in her own in 1990s Massachusetts. The more I read this to you, the more things that, like, I know Emma's going like, "Oh wow, this book was written for Joe." An academic career can be a punishing pursuit, but it might turn out outright deadly when witchcraft is involved. So that is The Bewitching by Sylvia Moreno Garcia, out July 15th. I'm sorry, multi-generational horror with witches and darkness on a college campus in Massachusetts in the '90s. Every box for me is checked.
Yeah, this is gonna be 100% one of your favorite ones. I will say I spoke to our colleague Kristen about this yesterday, and she just read an early copy and she said it's perhaps her favorite from this author. So I can't wait for you to actually read it and hear your thoughts because she said it is absolutely top tier.
And Kristen and I have such aligned taste that
Yes.
that makes me even more excited than that description. If she's saying it's the best,
Yeah, she said it's a really close to Mexican Gothic in terms of her favorite, and it might overtake.
wow. Okay,
Yeah.
well, I have the highest hope.
Yeah. I'm like, shout out really quick because we were talking about horror yesterday, and I had said Play Nice by Rachel Harrison might
Uh-huh.
overtake as my new favorite of hers. So, yeah,
I
they're really
am
doing horror well this year and
it's such
always.
a treat. Like, it's such a treat for us this year, especially. So much of what's been out is just, like, next level.
It's been really good. And speaking of really good authors, my next one, who I think you will know, dun dun dun, is Our Last Resort by Clémence Michelon, out July 8th from PRH, a Penguin Random House. So I think both of us read The Quiet Tenant around the same time, her first book, and were absolutely blown away by how good that thriller mystery was. And so I'm really excited for her next one, where what happens when you're at a luxury hotel with a close friend and you're trying to mend your friendship, get closer back to the level that you were, reconnect. and there's a dead body on the resort and everything is ruined. Well, that's the setting and sort of premise for Our Last Resort. It follows Frida and Gabriel, who again used to be so close. They were finishing each other's sentences. They were, best friends, had a really good bond, but have obviously drifted apart as time has gone on, as sometimes happens. And in an effort to get their friendship back, they go to this gorgeous resort in Utah to spend time together, go on hikes, lounge by the pool, all of the things that sound great on a vacation. But as I mentioned, when a guest is found dead at the resort, likely murdered, suspicion, for reasons we'll find out, quickly falls to Gabriel. And Frida has to reckon with the past as memories come to the surface of their upbringing. Frida and Gabriel grew up in a cloistered cult. And while she believes in her heart of hearts that Gabriel is innocent, the evidence continues to mount against him and puts everything about their friendship into question. So, this story has past and present timelines, which I love. And those past and present timelines help to tell this taut and intense thriller. So that is Our Last Resort by Clémence Michelon, again out July 8th.
I cannot wait for this book. I cannot wait for this book. You read A Quiet Tenant first and said, "Joe, you have to read this now." And I went, "Okay." And and I did, and we were immediately obsessed, taken away. It's so interesting to go from debut being claustrophobic, winter cold to sprawling, warm resort. And if you want to hear Clémence Michelon talk about beach reads with a whole host of other amazing people, you only have to wait a few weeks. That is episode 5 of Book Lounge. The plugs are just plugging today.
It's just all working harmoniously. It's almost like we've done this before.
It's almost like we've done this before, but truly, what an incredible author. And her path of like thriller is just I cannot wait to read this one because her first book just made me go, "What? What is happening?" So, well, my next pick is a graphic novel because what to me is more summer than sitting down and reading so many graphic novels. I have been reading them nonstop since like even the hint of warmth got in the air. I love my color e-reader screen, especially for graphics. Graphics imprint. Specifically, this next pick is from our friends at Scholastic. This is by Kat Fajardo, out July 1st. This is Miss Camper. It's a companion to the Miss Quinces, Fajardo's best-selling award-winning middle grade graphic novel. I love middle grade graphic novels. They are cute, they are fun, they are low stakes while still giving you emotion and beauty. And so I'm so excited to pick this one up. Sue is heading to Camp Willow this summer. She is looking forward to hiking, archery, and making comics in the fresh air. She's especially excited about LARPing, live action role playing, and can't wait for the freedom of being away from home. But she won't be far from family because her big sister Carmen is a camp counselor and her little sister Esther is a fellow camper and won't give her any space. All Sue wants is to make memories with her friends, but they're assigned to only a few of the same activities. To make matters even worse, her best friend Sam has a best camp friend named Marisol, and Sue's good friend Izzy has a crush on Sue. This summer, isn't it all going as planned? That is Miss Camper by Kat Fajardo, out July 1st. Isn't that so freaking cute?
That sounds so cute and
Like,
perfectly up your street.
right, like a summer camp graphic novel. Like, this will be my palate cleanser between some of the like either rough thrillers or any other things that I'm reading this summer, just depending on the vibe. Like, this is this is just so perfect. And I don't know, I feel like I talk a lot about inner child healing on the podcast, like that sometimes reading books that weren't there for me when I was a kid does. But there's just something about this that, like, this is just joy. And these are emotions we can relate to on all sorts of different levels. Like, things with your friends aren't going as you planned, and someone has a crush on you. And, like, the emotions don't really change as you age. So it's sometimes nice to kind of get back and see the base level of that or the root level of that.
Exactly. No, that sounds so perfect. If we were to make a book for summer for you, it would probably be that along those lines. My final fantasy pick before we move on to other genres, is Arcana Academy by Elise Kova. This is out July 22nd from Random House. This is a magical, nail biting story, according to Danielle L. Jensen. And this follows a woman who wields magical tarot cards. She lands herself in a false engagement with the headmaster of a mysterious academy in what is to be the first in a new fantasy romance series. So, Clara Gray's word has survived the underworld. Again, I do this to myself with the fantasy names, but Clara Gray Sword, I think it's Gray Sword, not Gray's Word, has survived the underworld of Eclipse City through thievery, luck, and a whole lot of illegal magic. After a job gone awry, Clara is sentenced to a lifetime in prison for inking tarot cards, a rare power that is reserved for practitioners of the elite Arcana Academy. Just when it seems her luck has run dry, the Academy's enigmatic headmaster, Prince Kalis, offers her an escape for a price. Kalis believes that Clara is the perfect tool to help him steal a tarot card from the king and use it to recreate an all powerful card long lost to time. In order to conceal her identity and keep her close, Kalis brings Clara to Arcana Academy, introducing her as the newest first year student and his bride to be. Thrust into a world of arcane magic and royal intrigue, where one misstep will send her back to prison or worse, Clara finds that the prince she swore to hate may not be what he seems. But can she risk giving him power over the world and her heart, or will she take it all for herself? So, this is Arcana Academy by Elise Kova. This is out July 22nd. This
I'm
is book 1 of a new series.
I'm so in. That checks so many boxes. I would love to try that out.
I think that would be a nice entree for you back into the fantasy. This and
Mhm.
the Sarah Beth Durst, I think,
Yes.
might get you into fantasy summer.
I think those 2 give me, like, the balance of how do I go a little harder on one and how do I just kind of, like, float around with the other. Ooh. Well, my list, I'm still trying to get myself into fantasy, and I think this next one from Delacorte Press at PRH will maybe help with that. This is a fantasy horror thriller in the YA fiction space. This is Predatory Natures by Amy Goldsmith, out July 8th. A teen girl's dream job aboard a luxury train derails when she discovers the strange cargo being transported, a mysterious and beautiful greenhouse, but its flowering facade may hide deadly thorns beneath in this atmospheric and lush novel from the author of Those We Drown. When Laura Williams gets a summer job aboard the luxury train, the Bainbury, she thinks she's landed a 5-star escape from her past. Even after she learns that her ex friend Reese, who she definitely did not have feelings for before their relationship imploded, is one of her co-workers, she's determined to make things work. But on the first day of their journey, the trip takes a strange turn. 2 mysterious carriages filled with an array of beautiful and rare plants are attached to the Bainbury in the middle of the night. And with them comes a pair of siblings. Wealthy, mysterious, and charismatic, Gwen and Gwydion claim the plants they're transporting are for research, but Lara can't shake the feeling that there's something otherworldly about the strange blooms. Something that will stop at nothing to ensure that the Baneberry never reaches its destination. Soon Lara will learn you can't outrun your troubles, you have to grab them by their roots. And if she can't unearth the secrets of the Baneberry, they might drag her down for good. So that is Predatory Natures by Amy Goldsmith, out July 8th. I guess I have a lot of like botanical reads this this go round.
I was gonna say that cover is gorgeous.
It is stunning.
My next pick, penultimate pick, we're rounding rounding the corner of the July picks, is not going to surprise anyone, I don't think either, but we are pivoting to my other favorite genre, romance. And we have Made for Each Other by Lynn Painter. This is out July 15th from Penguin. And I love Lynn Painter's YA book. She writes a lot of YA romance, but she also writes adult romance. And so I'm really excited for her next adult installment. This one follows a millionaire and a house cleaner. As a professional cleaner, Abby Mariano never thought her apartment would have any sort of infestation. But because of a building wide outbreak, she now needs somewhere to stay for a week. As a part time student with two jobs, she doesn't have many options. Then a solution presents itself. The owner of the penthouse she cleans is out of town for the week. She normally wouldn't consider it, but he's literally never around. She hasn't even met him. It goes great until one morning she finds two strangers in the kitchen. They're the parents of the penthouse owner, and they seem to think they've heard all about Abby, not as their son's maid, but as his girlfriend. Declan Powell, by the way, has always put his career first, working his way up to become an executive at his company. But he still has his sights set on that ever elusive next level. And when his parents mentioned that they met his girlfriend, Abby, he all but chokes on his escargot. As wonderful as it sounds that she was just darling, he doesn't actually have a girlfriend. He made her up to get everyone off his back. When Dex finds out who Abby really is, he makes her a proposition. Pretend to date him, and he'll provide everything she needs during their little arrangement. What harm would it do? It's purely business, no pleasure, right? So that is Made for Each Other, MAID, Made for Each Other by Lynn Painter, out July 15th. I love a fake dating trope.
Love a fake dating trope. And the setup to that is
So funny to
it's
me.
so funny. She's like, "Ah, he's never here. He won't know that I'm just sleeping in his house."
I know, I'm a little unclear if she had permission, but
I doubt it.
it's funny to me. That's certainly like age-old adage of like, "Oh yeah, I got my
Yes.
parents off my back. Here's my fake girlfriend." But it sounds fantastic.
Oh, sounds so good. Well, we've transitioned to, like, the YA portion of my list now. My penultimate pick is a YA book from Soho Press. This is The Yomigiri Tunnel by Kelly Ishige, out July 1st. It's a speculative coming-of-age YA novel that follows a teenager as she undertakes a magical journey to bring her deceased childhood friend back to life. A poignant quest for hope with original fantastical twists, perfect for fans of Dustin Thau and Anne Liang. Monica can't bring herself to celebrate her last summer before college. Instead, she's still grieving the loss of her one classmate who didn't make it to graduation, a boy named Shun with whom she had a complicated relationship. Then, during her final Japanese club meeting, Monica hears about the Yomigiri Tunnel, a local urban legend. Those who venture into this mythological passageway undergo harrowing trials to confront their hidden secrets and worst fears. According to the lore, anyone who makes it through is rewarded with the ability to resurrect one soul from the dead. Monica jumps at the chance to bring back Shun, but she soon realizes she's not alone. Sharp tongued and fierce Shiori is hell bent on reviving her mother and won't let anyone stop her. As Monica and Shiori confront the ghosts of their past, they have to decide, are they friends or foes? With fantastical twists, this emotional, offbeat book about hope and healing is an essential read for anyone who's ever needed a friend in the darkness. So again, that is the Yomigiri Tunnel by Kelly Murishige, out July 1st.
That sounds so good. I feel like we're
I
ending on really high notes.
Yes,
I feel like every pick, though, has been, if I do say so myself, 10 out of 10.
I think so too, and I cannot wait to just read them all.
I know, if only we had more time in the day. But that's where, again, audiobooks come in, folks. So my final pick for July is hilariously out on July 1st. It is Overruled by Lana Ferguson from Penguin. And sticking with romance once again, I think romance books are great all year round, especially in summer. Danica Pierce has one great love in her life, work. As one of the top divorce lawyers in Austin, Danica lets her caseload keep her warm at night and has no problem being married to her job. Not when love only ends in hurt, as I feel like you would feel that way as a divorce lawyer. When the biggest case of her career gives her a shot at making partner, it seems like nothing could possibly stand in her way, except for her infuriating secret. She's sleeping with the enemy. Ezra Hart is known for charming his way in and out of a courtroom. In the matter of winning Danica Pierce's heart, however, he's been far less successful. With her verdict to keep things purely physical with no chance of appeal, Ezra struggles to show Danica he's more than the insufferable playboy she's pegged him to be, especially since they find themselves on opposing sides of Danica's most important case to date. While Danny and Ezra battle it out in the courtroom, the real trial is the one happening between them. When Danny realizes that everything she knows of Ezra might be hearsay and that she's not the only one with emotional baggage, she must choose between her fear of trusting again and the feelings blossoming between her and the man she thought was her worst enemy. That is Overruled by Lana Ferguson, out July 1.
What a cheeky description.
I love all the puns
Yes.
and yes, everything I want in a summer romance.
It can't go wrong. Well, a romance pick from you to close out is no surprise. Neither is my final pick, which is a YA suspense thriller. What can I do other than, yep, am who I am. This is This Is Where We Die by Cindy RX He from our friends over at Sourcebooks, also out July 1st. So for our last picks, you don't have to wait long at all. 8 friends went on a trip. Only 6 made it out alive. Now a killer has one night to make sure the survivors pay for what they did, so that 0 make it out alive. From the author of Perfect Little Monsters comes another incredible, twisty thriller. Sadie, Will, Isla, Anthony, Emily, and Charlie are survivors. They were the 6 out of 8 to return from a ski holiday turned nightmare 2 years ago. Although nobody knows exactly what happened, the details hushed up via the wealth and connections of Sadie's rich parents. When an exclusive private island with a mansion for rent goes viral on social media, their graduating class persuades Sadie to rent it for the weekend. The 6 arrive first by helicopter and wait for the rest of their classmates to join them by boat the next day. But nobody ever comes. Cut off from the rest of the world with no cell service and no means off the island, paranoia and terror mount as they start to be picked off one by an unseen killer. Their past has finally caught up with them, and they'll need to figure out who is killing them before they all wind up dead. That is This Is Where We Die by Cindy RX He, out July 1st. I'm sorry. I love a YA slasher thriller for the summer. I love it all the time, but especially for the summer. And so the vibes of like graduating class, all that, I think it's right there.
I think you've gotta end on that perfect note,
Uh-huh. I think so
and
too.
you like what you like.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, Emma, thank you for joining me today and sharing your July book picks.
Thank you for having me. Hopefully, there's some picks in there for everyone, and it's been a delight to chat books with you again.
An absolute delight. I think we threw a nice wide net out for everyone. Listeners, let us know what you think in the comments if you're on YouTube or on Spotify, or of course, you can comment on today's Instagram post at libby.app. But if you enjoyed this conversation, be sure to follow Book Lounge by Libby on your favorite podcast app and check out the Libby app YouTube channel for our audio and video content. You can also find us on social at libby.app. And if you're loving the show, a quick rating and review helps other book lovers find us. Thank you so much for joining us today. And as always, happy reading. You can sample and borrow the books from today's episode in the Libby app, or if you're a librarian, find them for purchase in Overdrive Marketplace. Book Lounge by Libby is a proud Evergreen Podcast signature program. Explore more amazing shows at evergreenpodcasts.com. This podcast is produced and recorded by me, Joe Skelly, with editing by Andrew Alonso. Our theme music is High Five by Rex Banner, used with permission. Book Lounge by Libby is presented by the Libby app. Learn more at libbylife.com/booklounge.